Welcome to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Nikki C., all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am so excited for the guest that we have today. This is brought to you by BALM Global and the Connected Leaders Academy. So without further ado, let me just give you a little bit of background on this amazing woman we have with us today. She's also one of the founding members of Ladies of Leadership. Super honored to have her. Met her face to face in October and just love her whole being, her soul. Absolutely amazing. She's a two-time Canadian Provincial winner, leading women building communities, recognition, and multiple sclerosis society volunteer. She is the first female ambassador of the town Crier of Cobourg and Ontario. Multiple best-selling author on Amazon, recipient of the coveted Distinguished Toastmasters Award, legacy ghostwriter, spokesperson, and master facilitator, women's empowerment coach, published professional poet, published professional photographer, which I absolutely love the images that she puts. And oh my goodness, my alarm is on. Bear me 1 second. That's what happens when you go live and you just work from home. It's amazing. Thank you. So back to our guest. She's a published professional photographer, as I stated, front cover featured photographer of the Canadian National Magazine. And without further ado, I'm going to bring the lovely, amazing, and beautiful Mandy. May, how are you, love?
Hello, Nikki. I am absolutely awesome. That was beautiful. And that was so much fun with that bell going off.
Yes, those are actually my alarms that I have per hour. And sometimes I forget when I'm doing these things that, those are my affirmations, just a reminder to kind of reset myself for the day, no matter what day I'm having. So that's what kind of happened. So I'm glad it actually came on. So people know that it's just an inspirational thing that I do, just to make sure that I stay in motion on my mission. But it's not about me. It's about you, love. Thank you so much again for accepting my invitation. I know I've been waiting for you to be on for a very long time.
Oh,
how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling very excited to be here. I always am, because I feel it's such a blessing when girlfriends like you, or anybody for that matter, does these podcasts and live interviews and all this kind of thing, because it's helping us to shed our light and make it become brighter so that it can reach more people, which enables them then to shine their lights. And so we raise the vibrational energy of love and light across the planet. So I'm really grateful and really happy and really excited for being here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I am super honored and blessed to have you here, grace the BALM community, and really shed a light on, just some things that are going on, that we have going on, that you're doing, and just on leadership and mindset. And just a reminder, we are both Toastmasters. I have not hit DTM yet. I'm very new, about a year or two in. I absolutely love it. Awesome. Let's just talk a little bit about that. Like, what got you into speaking, because you articulate your words and your expressions, your emotions so well. Let us know a little bit about that.
Okay, so I've been a writer since the age of 5, and I still have poems and little scribbly writings that I did from the age of 5 going through. And in school, whenever there was a debate or an oration that had to be done, I was the one that they always picked, because yes, I've had to learn and I've had to grow, and I'm still doing that. That is something that is very, very important to me to do on a daily basis, to keep stretching my mind, keep learning, keep growing, and keep adapting and transforming into the greatest and highest power I can be. And of course, that's a never-ending journey, because we need that as humans. So I was always called upon. I was a soprano singer. I was called upon for the lead parts in all the plays and the Christmas plays. I was also a model at the age of 11, so I got a lot of roles through school in that. But anyway, so I've always had this skill, this passion, this love for words, People today will ask me or ask my daughter or whoever, excuse me, does she study the dictionary? And they laugh, but yes, I do study the dictionary. I do study the dictionary because there's so many different connotations around individual words. And I'll just use sign language as an example. I do sign language for the deaf, right? American ASL. So this one sign, I hope the viewers can see it, that it's a hook with the first finger. So that's should, could, must, ought to. So there's a lot of differentiations around that one sign. If I want to say, I do sign language. So if I spread it out, it would be I do sign, and then I would drail it out. But for a deaf person, it's just, so it's quick. So it's the same with the English language. There's derivations, there's connotations, there's similes, there's paradoxes, there's all kinds of things around the English language. And to be immersed in that, I had a grammar school education, so it was the Oxford Board of Exams back in England. To be immersed in that heightened my natural skills. And then it all kind of went to pot, I would say, around the age of 15 when I had to leave my father with my mother at the time. And then at the age of 22, I got married and my passions and my dreams started to fade. Fast forward 30 years and it became a domestic violence abuse relationship that almost cost me my life multiple times. And when I finally plucked up the courage and the boldness to leave him, I ended up in a women's shelter. This is where I found Toastmasters, because I was with 11 other victims of domestic violence and abuse, all safe, sound, everything was private. You could cry, you could scream, you could shout, you could speak, you could feel safe to just be who you are after coming away from these situations. So I was in this group as well as private counseling, and one of the counselors down the road said to me, in each of those groups of 12, there is always one woman who is a leader, and you were the leader. I hadn't got a clue what she was talking about. But at the end of the 12 weeks with the 12, I was so inspired by them. I said, at the 11th week, I'm going to go and write a poem. So I headed out to the coffee shop right after. 30 verses spilled out onto paper. It became my first published poem in a national book. So it's an anthology done by the British Columbia Canadian Poetry Institute. And it's used in all the counsellors' shelters now to inspire with other women. It's called the Empowerment Group. So anyway, we're in this group. And I went back on the 12th week and they said, did you do the poem? I said, yes. Can we hear it? Okay. And I started reading. I got 4 verses in and everyone, including the counselors, were crying. So I closed the book and I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't think. And no, you're putting into words what we are unable to. Please keep going. And this one lady, about halfway after the reading, she said to me, you should be a Toastmaster. I said, a Toastmaster? What's a Toastmaster? She says, well, they speak. I said, okay, what do they speak about? She says, I've got no idea. She says, but you should be one. So that whet my appetite. And the very next evening, it was a Tuesday evening, in a snowstorm, an ice storm, which I never drive in Canada, I found the Toastmasters Club. I jumped in right away. All the seasoned leaders said, no, don't put that pressure on her. And I said, look, I've come out in an ice storm to get to know what you speak about. And if you're asking people to speak, I want to be a part of that. So I did an improv 2 minutes, as you know, from being in Toastmasters. And I spoke about beautiful colored hot air balloons flying over the Gatineau Hills in Montreal, Quebec, where they have this balloon festival every August. And I was there, so I could speak to it. So I spoke for 2 minutes. And at the end of the evening, I got the Toastmasters Award, which was a beautiful little plaque for best speech of the evening. And from that point onwards, I was hooked on this body of people who were teaching leadership and communication skills. Everything they taught and that I heard was speaking in here to my soul. And I had no idea for what purpose, but it was resonating. So I jumped in 6 months. Within 6 months, I'd got my Competent Leadership Award. I'd got my Competent Communicator Award. I'd become the secretary for the club when the directorship changed hands as they do every year. And within 12 months, I'd gone through all the ranks. I was the president for 2.5 years straight, 3 years straight, 2 to 3 years straight. And I started competing in speeches outside, within the club and outside of the club. And as you probably know, there's that beautiful, beautiful grounding alarm again. I just, bring yourselves, deep breath into grounding. Beautiful. So I found out that there was an international speaking competition. I became a master evaluator, a master storyteller. There are 6 levels within Toastmasters to reach the world stage and be in the top 10 competing for the world title. And I have reached level 4 times in the last 7 years. It is my dream. It is my desire. It is written and carved on every cell in my body that I will claim that world championship title. And literally, you know, you have to be first. You have to be first at the club, first at the area, first at the division, first at the district. You have to be first at every level to move forward to the next one. So everywhere I've gone, I've had so many Toastmasters, from even people I don't know but have heard me. International speaking, Gavel Award winners, which again is an ultimate award for a single Toastmaster, come to me privately. And I can say this with humility but great pride in their belief in me. And they would say to me, you do realize you've got what it takes to win the title, right? And I said, I'm accepting that, and I'm going to keep it close to my heart. Thank you so much. And I've heard that everywhere I go. So that led me on to becoming, I've taught in detention centers, I've taught in corporations, schools, I've mentored, I've coached, I've emceed, I've spoken in front of 25,000 people, I've spoken in front of 5 people. Whatever level I'm at with audiences or amount in an audience, my speaking ability speaks as passionately as I am right now to every single person. And I don't care where we are or who's there, you get the full me, because I love using my voice to empower other people. And when you've mentored somebody like I have, and I've mentored and coached and created clubs for many people, there's this one young lady, I'll just bring it out. She was 25 when she came to our club, and I was in my 2nd year of presidency with the club at the time. I've also been an area director and a division director and all the various levels as well, which you need to acquire the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. And it took me 7.5 years. So I want people to know this is not an easy journey to acquire this award. It takes great sacrifice, great dedication, and great willingness to go wherever. I've traveled thousands of miles within my district to accomplish this award and make a difference. So there was this one young lady, 25. She came to the club with her mother, and you know, she couldn't speak. And I didn't assume anything. I never assume anything about anybody. That is a beautiful gift and skill to acquire. Never assume anything, because you don't know what's gone on before a person connects to you. So there she was, and I introduced myself, shook her hand. She goes purple. She smiles like that, and she can't open her mouth. So I took that all into consideration, and her mother started to take part. And every meeting I would do the same, and I would talk to her if I was at the stage evaluating other people or whatever, and just make her feel like part of the family, like she was my own daughter. And then it came time. We had an open house, and we had 100 people at this open house locally. And I'd prepared several Toastmasters to stand up if I needed them to do an improv or speak to a certain point that we were addressing, or, I had certain Toastmasters prepared. And as I stood up, I said, I'm going to begin. I was already into the presentation, but I said, and I'd like to begin with offering out to the audience, now that you've seen what an improv 2-minute speech is all about, and it's natural and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be special. It just pour your heart naturally and authentically into your 2 minutes. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to take part? Kyla put her hand up, and I honed in on her. So she stood up, and I said, round of applause for Kyla, and got her feeling excited. And she put her fingers on the table like this, and she stood there, and I could feel the stamps in her body, and she's looking around. But again, all she can do is smile. She cannot open her mouth. So I gave her a few seconds. I got a seasoned Toastmaster sitting to my left telling me, Mandy, she's got deer in the headlights. I said, I've got it, Jerry. I've got it. Don't worry. I then left the podium. I walked out into the audience clapping like this, and I got everybody else to start clapping. And I came to within 6 feet of her, and I said, I absolutely honor your courage to stand up here in a room full of your peers and even want to try to do a 2-minute speech. I said, you are incredibly brave and courageous, and I honor you. I'm going to get you to sit down right now, but I'll tell you what, Kyla, if you feel that you would like to try again, I'll keep an eye on you. I said, you just send me a little message. I said, and we'll have you speaking before the end of the evening. And boom, I did. She spoke. I didn't even have to prompt it. The audience stood up because they'd already realized what it took for her to get up in front of people. And from that point onwards, I became her mentor for the next 12 months. And to this day now, she's got a position on a radio station. She's got a dog training school, and you can't shut her up. But the blessing, and this is the point I'm trying to make here. This is what leadership and Toastmasters in leadership positions are known as servant leaders. And through my 7.5 years, and even now, I am still finding the power behind this statement to be a servant leader, someone who gives from here without expectation. The greatest blessing I've ever had was through Kyla and many others in the past 20 years that I've been a Toastmaster, is mentoring and coaching them, watching them rise, watching them grow, applauding them, and then being able to sit back and say, you go, girl, you go, guy, I'm so proud of you. And when they win medals, when they pass a level, I've got so many hanging medals up here, plus the DTM medallion. But as you know, there are medals and all kinds of things that you can win for passing all the various levels. And as each one, I was the first person in this club, in this community, to celebrate individuals, not just by word and deed from the podium, but to bring a cake, celebrating you've done 10 speeches, you've got your Competent Communication Award. I've had Toastmasters, it's taken them 10 years to get that award. Some, like me, it took me 3 months. We all go at different levels, but being a servant leader enables us to make others feel comfortable, feel safe, feel at ease, and feel valued. And that's when they start to grow. If someone feels that they are valued no matter what, that's when they become teachable, and that's when they begin to grow towards their own light. That's how I came to speaking.
I love it. Yes, that's amazing. And like I said, I said it earlier, you just have a thing for words, and they come out so eloquently, and they hit every emotion that you're supposed to feel while someone is speaking to you, or when we're receiving the words that you're giving us. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Absolutely amazing. So again, we met at Flashpoint for the first time. I mean, we had been online, face to face, just like this here, in between the screen, but we never got to meet in person. And I know you went through a heck of a journey just to get from Canada to Philadelphia, but you were determined. And I am just so glad that we were able to share that weekend together, and that you made it safe back, and that we definitely started this sisterhood, which led to you joining Ladies of Leadership. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. We are going to go and take a bit of a break to our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
There you have it, our sponsor, the Connected Leaders Academy. That's where me and Mandy met as well. That's where it all started for us. And again, we met in October face-to-face, and we had an amazing experience that weekend. Just tell us a little bit about what that weekend meant to you, actually being able to see everyone in person and the community that we have, as well as joining the Ladies of Leadership.
That weekend was the dream come true of 3 years since I first met Austin in the Grand Canyon, virtually in Arizona. And it was where he was standing, the Grand Canyon. I've yet to visit it, but it's a very sacred site for me. And whether I'm looking at a photograph, watching a documentary, the Grand Canyon just transports me as if I'm there dancing with the gods on the mountaintops and the canyon, and falling into the valley and the river below. It evokes the love and the spirit from me. And when I saw him standing there, spread-eagled out, facing the canyon, my eyes and my spirit were just connected. And then I heard his message. And I never usually engage anyone on social media if I don't know them, especially when they're thousands of miles away. I just don't do that. And something said to me, send him a message. Well, it wasn't just a message. I wrote a poem and I sent it to him, and that was it. Never expected to hear back. That night there was a voicemail, and he's thanking me for following his journey, and he loved my poetry. So then I sent him a few photographs, and I didn't speak to him for quite a while verbally, and he would leave me voice messages. But anyway, this is how I got to know Austin. And the people within the community that I came to love as if they were, and they are, my family, like Julia Gandhi, Carrie, you now as well. But for 3 years, I hadn't been able to physically hug and touch, and then COVID hit, and I couldn't get out of Canada for any of the events. And then I just decided to go for it. I thought, if I'm meant to be there, God is going to get me there, and it won't matter what happens at the border. But I prepared for it. I really prepared for it. Had all my letters and my documents and all my dots dotted and my T's crossed for that journey. When I got out of that elevator and I got lost in Philadelphia that night, that was the most difficult part, because I didn't know there were riots going on and there were people killed that night. And I was right in the thick of it, with bodies falling in front of me across the roadway. There were prostitutes, there were drunks, there were crowds, there was violence, and I didn't know. I was completely lost. Had my daughter on the other end of the line telling me to not keep the doors locked, don't put your windows down, and she was shouting at me, keep going, and she was spilling out the names of the roads that I could get by. But a lot of the roads were closed off because of the police and everything. But anyway, I got there at just before 11 o'clock, 16 and a half hours straight drive. And when I came out of that elevator at 11 o'clock, I don't recall if you were there. I apologize if you were, but I don't recall. But it was 11 o'clock. I didn't expect anybody to be meeting me off the elevator, and there was quite a crowd there. And I walked out, and now all the emotion and the fatigue and I'm just bawling. Mama Mo was the first one to hug me, and she didn't want to let me go to hand me over to Carrie. Carrie didn't want to let me go to hand me over to Anilda. And so it went round like this. And then Jose came out, hi, and he just almost lifted me. And then Alejandro, and then finally Austin, of course. And I couldn't stop crying, Nikki. It just, and they were all crying, and we, you know, big circular hugs. And then I went to Carrie with her room. So we were up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning talking and actually having fun. And then I got to introduce Austin because I think the world of him, love his message, love what he's doing, etc. And I got to introduce him. I got to also come as the Cobourg Ambassadorial town crier, first female town crier. And I made history for my town of Cobourg in Canada, the United Kingdom, because I am a queen, a royally appointed town crier, and there's many stories around that. And I made history for Philadelphia and for the USA, because what I did at that event for Austin and everybody else has never been done in US, Canadian, or British history before me. And I made sure that was a fact. So that was a profound evolutionary event that is forever carved in the soul of my heart and my mind. It's like this effervescence cloud that just encircles me every time I think of Flashpoint 4.0 and the people whose lives, meeting Dr. Oliver, meeting you. Do you remember when we hugged? Do you remember?
Yes, it was so tight. We didn't want to let go.
Yes.
It was definitely like heartbeat to heartbeat. And that's what I love about the community.
That's who I am. And I've missed all this hugging. I can't survive without hugging, right? Austin actually lifted me off the floor. I was like, oh, what great. But to now know that these are real people that I've hugged, I've got all the photography, I've got all the videos. It changed my life in ways we could speak about forever here. And I know you don't have the time.
Yeah, so we're definitely gonna have to get you back on, because I know that there's so much that we have to talk about. First, before we go and before we give you the last moments here, how can people get a hold of you? How can people get connected with you? And it like we did not, I was just so intrigued in what you were saying, I forgot to put your banner up.
Okay, so I'm also a women's empowerment coach, and anyway, so you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn. I did send you the links. Maybe if you can put them in afterwards, that'd be fine too. And email freedom49@gmail.com is spelled freedm49@gmail.com. And you can always direct message me on Messenger and I will respond too.
Yes, absolutely. So I do have them here scrolling. We do have a couple more minutes, and I definitely want to just for you to share your experience with the Ladies of Leadership, which I have started back in November, and you definitely show interest. I definitely wanted you. I mean, that was like right after our event. I'm like,
yes.
I have to do something.
I noticed that. I thought, oh my gosh, I feel like I just had a hook go right through my heart and pull me in.
Yes, it just felt so good, just meeting all the women and really trying to build a community to really empower each other. There were some breakthroughs that happened that night where people were still in self-doubt at some point of their life, and I just knew I had to say, like, I spoke to myself that week and I'm like, Nikki, what platform can you put together? And Ladies of Leadership was birth, and we have some amazing women and amazing things going on. And how do you feel about that?
When you brought me in, girlfriend, I felt so honored and yet humbled, but excited. And that excitement hasn't left me. Now, I know there's been an interim, I've had a heart episode 2 months ago and we've been dealing with health, etc. But every time I'm with your platform, even if it's in the chat room or it's live, better when it's live, I feel empowered. I feel honored. I feel like we're there to support each other, but we're women, right? And this is what Lao Tzu speaks to, the yin and the yang. But allow the, where is it? Let's just see here. Allow the yin to be the dominant of the two opposites. That is to know the masculine, but be true to the feminine. And in the Ladies of Leadership platform, when we all get together, we can honor our feminine, and our creative skills and our passions come to the fore. And as you are now doing, you get through another beautiful member, Duchess DJ Love, also a close friend of mine now. We are creating these various books, and she's showing us how to do it. The opportunity to speak, to grow, and to learn is 10x'd in the Ladies of Leadership program. And if you haven't already connected with Nikki Cuesta and you're hearing this podcast, I am urging you just even to connect with her and have a conversation and find yourself in this group of women that are giving me goosebumps right now, just to say the Ladies of Leadership.
Thank you so much for that. And what I love about it is that I use it as my therapy, as, you know, just getting in a room with women who are amazing, doing amazing things, or creating themselves, or reinventing, or just starting. They're at all levels. They've been in their industries for many, many years, or they're just getting started, or they're trying to pivot into. So there is like no one left out, and we're all about just empowering and just sharing the skills that we've learned throughout our years. And the conversations are deep. I mean, we've had laughs, we had cries. But that's what we absolutely need.
The vulnerability.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you wanted to share something, Passage. I definitely want to give you time to do that, because I want to hear it.
Absolutely. Okay, so anybody that knows me, not just that I study the dictionary, but all kinds of levels of wisdom and the sages. I have a great poem actually on being a student to one of the sages. And one of those sages is Lao Tzu, who was a mystic and a poet, great writer from about 3,000 years ago. And his wisdom in his verses is on par to the Bible. And I'm an ardent student of the Bible. And it's just beautiful. So I wanted to read verse 28 to you, and verse 27, because it's the fusion of opposites. And we as women specifically, we need to be able to recognize and acknowledge our feminine side, and that be the dominant side, but we also need the masculine, and vice versa. So I'll just read the verse. It's very brief, and I'll just give you a little explanation. The fusion of opposites. To know the masculine and be true to the feminine is to be the waterway of the world. To be the waterway of the world is to flow with the great integrity, always swirling back to the innocence of our childhood. To know yang and to be true to yin is to echo the universe. To echo the universe is to merge with the great integrity, ever returning to the infinite. To know praise and be true to the lowly is to be a model for the planet. To be a model for the planet is to express the great integrity as the primal simplicity, like an uncarved block. When the uncarved block goes to the craftsman, it is transformed into something useful. The wise craftsman cuts as little as necessary because he follows the great integrity. Lao Tzu refers to the great integrity as the creator of all the universe, all life forms. He is God, he is Buddha, he is the universe, he is whatever you want to call him. So first, he's reminding us that there are 10,000 things and multiple more in the universe that are composed of opposites, masculine, feminine, yin and yang, high and low, these kind of things. Secondly, he's reminding us, as I just said before, to allow the dominant quality of the yin the yang to be the true feminine, but also know the masculine. To know praise is to know lowliness. And thirdly, he said to merge with God, to merge with the great integrity, is to ever return to primal simplicity. And that is what is made useful by the minimal interference with nature. Nature is our greatest teacher and gives us our lessons in every aspect of life. And yet it is so simple. So the yin predominated during the Neolithic era, and it was all down through the ages, masculine domination to the detriment of peoples, nations, and especially women. It's critical for us today to understand and follow Lao Tzu's advice, not from the time that he lived in, where it was detrimental even for a woman to speak out, and that would lead to great unhappiness. It's to follow his advice in our time. Why? Because if we don't, it will lead to the extinction and the end of our species on this planet. It is vital that we align with source energy, come from that place, which is love in all its embodiment, which you will find in nature, and be that to every single person and life form that you come across. And always ask, no matter what is going on in front of you or whom, what would love do next? What would love do next? And be the love, be the kindness, and be the blessing to this world and others. Thank you so much, Nikki.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for sharing that that message, because I do believe that we need to know both sides.
You
and
got
we
it.
can't have one without the other. You don't know when opposites, when we meet with opposites at different times of our lives, we know what is going to work and what is not going to work, what we can use and what we can't use, or what we should or shouldn't use. So I think that was a great way to definitely, hit the mark when it comes to making decisions and choices for your life. And just be love. Love is love. God is love. Give it, receive it. Absolutely. I love you, hon. Thank you so much for joining the BALM family. And it was absolutely amazing to have you here. And I'm just going to give you about a minute for some final words. And what do you want to leave our audience with?
I want to leave you with a message that you, whoever you are watching this right now, you are love because you are made from love. You come from love. You come from the greatest source of love in the universe. You are love. You are loved. You are worthy. You are deserving. You are empowered and a very powerful force to be reckoned with. You have unique skills and talents in you that you don't even know you're aware of. And once you learn how to find those and grow into them, your world, your life will transform and be changed forever, because your light will shine on other people. And the best place to do that is in a community where, as Nikki just explained, we are loved and valued and appreciated for who we are. And we can cry and we can scream and we can learn and we can bring our skills and benefit. When 2 or 3 are gathered together in God's name, there he is in their midst. We are all coming from a place of love. Be a part of that love. Join this community. Get in touch with Nikki, and I guarantee your first meeting will completely change your life. I am so grateful to have been here, Nikki. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for those kind words. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. And that was Mandy May that she has there. But she is listed on Facebook as Mandy Robinson. So you definitely want to make sure you connect with her. Absolutely amazing. And we didn't talk about your books, but I'll make sure I'll put those lists.
They're up there.
Yep. Catalyst. And what's the other one?
It's about to be launched at the end of this month in a few days. It's Challenge, Rise, Triumph. Challenge, Rise, Triumph. And both Catalyst Poetry's on Amazon right now. It's been out for a year, and I do a show every Wednesday night around that. And Challenge, Rise, Triumph Triumph will be out at the end of the month. And I also do from Monday to Friday now. It started last week. I do a 2-minute chat. Well, it's not a chat. It's mindful moments with Mandy. So it's taking a word, helping you to transfer your perspective or your mindset and move forward. And that's every day, Monday to Friday. So things are really, really taking off for me.
Yes, I love it. I'm going to definitely have to tune in. Well, thank you again. And thank you to our BALM community listening in on another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset. Have a great day. And as I always say, make it count.